What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. I hope you're doing good. I'm doing good. In today's video, we're talking about my top 5, that's 10, my top 5 favorite fiction books, like, of all time that I've ever read. A little insider about me is, believe it or not, I do enjoy reading. Fiction, non-fiction, all kinds of stuff. I just enjoy reading. These books, I think, in my opinion, are extremely interesting and fun to read, and very easy to read, and suck you in, and are extremely entertaining, and just overall really good books. And I would recommend anybody to read them. Before I jump into the video, consider subscribing, following the social media down below, and yeah, without further ado, let's just jump right into the video. I guess number 1 is, in my opinion, the best fiction book you could ever read. 2 through 5 are in no particular order. You can put them in any way, but number 1 is number 1. So, number 5, we have a book called Every Day by David Levithan. This is a really interesting book because it's about this being that wakes up in a new body every single day, and it's like this stream of consciousness, so to speak. Like, it's this being, and it will, like, every day it'll wake up in a new body, boy or girl, like whatever, and it has like its own like mind. It falls in love with this girl. It tries to be with this girl while at the same time being in like different bodies every single day. I recommend checking it out for sure. Next, number 4 on my list is The Stand by Stephen King. I've tried reading it so many times, from start to finish, the entire thing, cover to cover, and I failed miserably, even though I loved it so much. It was just too overwhelming for me to actually physically read. So the way I read it was I listened to it, so I listened to the entire book from start to finish. But nonetheless, people get this like flu, and basically the majority of the population is wiped out, except for these like separate people, like separate groups of people. And it's about them like basically dealing with this situation and circumstance. It is long. It's like an investment. Like, Stephen King books are usually long, so like if you've ever read any of his books, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But like, it is an investment, but I do think it's worth it. Like, it keeps you on the edge of your seat the entire time. Like, it sets up these plots. There's like many different plots going on at once, which is really cool because in the end, all these different plots that have nothing to do with one another somehow intermingle, and it's just like, it's a very satisfying read. I do recommend it. Number 3 on my list is a book called And We All Looked Up by Tommy Wallach. This is also like a pre-apocalypse type book. Like, it's about these teenagers that live normal lives and they have like whatever, and then all of a sudden this asteroid starts heading towards Earth, and they have like an X amount of days before it hits and just wipes out humanity. The plot of the book takes place in that time gap from where the asteroid was announced and to where it actually like hits the Earth. So it's that time gap in between, which you never really get to see in movies and books. They usually just like skip that, and everything always has to do with everything after the apocalypse happens, or like the destruction event happens. But this is like the part that leads up to it, and you get to see like how these people, these teenagers, this town deals with this like, I guess, inevitable doom. And it's like, it's a really interesting take on an apocalyptic scenario because it hasn't happened yet, but you kind of see how society like deals with an anticipated like apocalyptic state, and it's really cool. It's definitely an adventure that you should read. Number 2 on my list is a graphic novel called Blankets by Craig Thompson. Now let me tell you, man, I have a relationship with that book. I read it every year around like the fall, winter time. It's really thick, but it reads like that. Like, it's unbelievable book. It's about this kid, his name's Craig. It's almost like an autobiography kind of. And it's about basically his life, and like from like essentially birth to like young adulthood. And you see how this guy, you get to go on like this journey with this guy, the main character, and you see like issues with his family, and you see like issues with his siblings, and like his romance, his relationships, and like just his hardships, and it really takes you on this fucking journey, and it leaves an impression after you're done. Like, it's a book that everybody should read. Well, it's a graphic novel, but like everybody should read it. It's unbelievable, and I guarantee you, it's nothing like you've ever read before. Like, it's a completely different take on graphic novels. Now, before I go to number one, I actually, as I was filming this, I thought of another graphic novel that is absolutely amazing that everybody should read. This graphic novel is called Mouse. It's by the author's his name's Art Spiegelman, I think. But first of all, it's about mice. Like, it's like a metaphor. The whole thing's like a metaphor almost, but it's about mice, and mice like resemble people, kind of. And it's about World War II, Poland. And it's about this Holocaust survivor telling his grandson about how he survived the Holocaust, because the son's like writing a report, or like he's writing a book on it, and like he's talking to his grandfather, and his grandfather's telling him the story about how he survived the Holocaust. And it's really intense. It's an intense read, but it is a graphic novel, and the characters are mice, and like the Jews are mice, and the Nazis are like cats. It's really like heavy, and like it also takes you on like a legitimate like journey, and it kind of lets you appreciate history a little bit more. But it's definitely an amazing read. I definitely recommend everybody to read that. And finally, we've reached number one, the best, hands down, the best fiction book of all time. Are you ready? Drum roll. Drum roll. Are you ready? Here we go. The Holy Bible. Boom. I got you there. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm sorry if I offended you. No, the Bible is fiction though, but that's not number one. The number one book of all time is, and this breaks the rules a little bit, but it's fine, the Harry Potter series, all of them, all 7 of them, into one. That's number one. That is the best by J.K. Rowling. That is the best work of fiction, or non-fiction for some, that has ever been made. Like, ever. Like, I don't think, in my opinion, nothing competes to fucking Harry Potter. Harry Potter is literally like biblical. Like, you can't touch it. Like, that is one of the most impactful, like, unbelievable pieces of work ever made, and that is like by far my number one fucking series of all time. And I know it's a series, it's not like one book, but still, it counts. Like, that, you can't ignore that as being like something, like,